Hey guys, today we're going to have a quick video. We're going to be going over 2D cameras, and Wednesday we'll be going over 3D cameras. So if you have any questions or concern, please wait until then and wait to hear what I have in that video or to say in that video to distinguish some of the games. The first camera type that we are going to be going over is a 3/4 camera view. Now, some good examples of games would be like Pokemon, Effectinator, if you've ever played that, I believe. Balloon Tower Defense, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've played that game, but I believe that will also fall under the 3/4 category, being that you have, or, sorry, Gem Craft. It's a different tower defense game that will fall under this 3/4 view category. Basically, if you have a building, you'll be able to see the top of the building and the front of the building to give the illusion of a 3D game, but your sprites would be in 2D. So if you have a character, your antagonist and protagonist, they will be side scroller sprites, kind of like Mario. Or you can even have them four directional sprites where you can have the walking backwards animation and walk frontwards animation where you see the front and the back of the characters, as well as the left side and right side of the characters. Now, the next game that we'll be going over is a Fox first person 3D camera. Although it looks 3D, it's actually just 2D trickery. There's a lot of calculations that will be going on behind the scenes to give this game a 3D look. Um, a well known example of this camera type will be Doom. Although Doom looked 3D, the original Doom looked 3D, it was just a 2D map that was cleverly coded to give off the 3D presence. Um, up under the actual game framework, there was a 2D engine, or there was a 2D game, top-down game that was actually feeding locations and all this information into this calculation and made the game look 3D. Now the next type of camera is a isometric projection camera. Um, Good examples would be like Final Fantasy Tactics. I believe that was for the Game Boy, or Tycoon 2, if you remember that. Sim City 2000. That was a Sims game where you built a city, or any other simulation games where you build a city, or like the Tycoon game. Any of those type of games are typically isometric projection. Sims, the actual Sims main line, would not be considered that because though that is not a 2D game. Um, it's still isometric projection, but not a 2D isometric projection. Basically, your camera is up, looking down at the scene at an angle, and there's some mathematics to it that I'm not going to get into because this is just an overview of different camera types. But if you want to look that up, I will link the website that I actually got this camera list from down below. Next on our list is a side view camera, and this is probably the most well known camera type for a 2D game. Any platformer that you have or a fighting game that you would play is more than likely a side scroller, more than likely being for the fighting game. Um, Mario, all of the Mario lines up to Super, or the original three Mario games, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, are great examples of that. Sonic the Hedgehog games are good examples of being side view. Contra, if you remember Contra, that's another good game. Metroid, and we have another side view for 3D that's actually not called side view, and we'll get into that later, and that's what most games nowadays use that are platformers. I'll talk more about that on Wednesday. But basically, you have the camera on the side. It looks like it's on the side of the game, staring onto the game. You see the side of the player. So let's take Super Mario Bros. 3 for example, because that's such a well-known game. You'll just see the side of Mario. You'll never see his front. You'll never see its back. See his back. It's just his left side and his right side as you move along the platform or along the level. The platforms, you'll just see the side of the platforms. You won't see the top of the platforms nor the bottom of the platforms, or the sides, the short sides, I guess you can call them. Lastly, we have the top-down view. A great example would be Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, and I believe Chinatown for the PSP, I want to say. Um, Before Grand Theft Auto became a 3D game, it was a 2D top-down game. And if you have a Game Boy laying around, I would recommend going check those games out, the first and second Grand Theft Auto, or if you can find Chinatown on mobile or something, because it's really cool to see how Grand Theft Auto went from this 2D game to this 3D game that everyone loves. Another good example would be Bomberman or Battleship. If you ever played a virtual copy of Battleship, I believe it came out for the NES. Basically, it's also called bird's eye view because of the way that some games are set up. Your the camera's basically up in high in the air, looking down onto the game, which is how it gets its name, bird's eye view. Sometimes it looks like a three-fourths game, but it's not because of the angles. It's just to give some kind of perception of where you're at, so you're not just looking at rooftops and the tops of cars if you're playing a sandbox game. And those are basically the types of 2D cameras. If you name a game, it will probably more than likely fit in one of these five camera types. Even Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a game that looks 3D, it'll fall under like Fox first person 3D. And Wednesday we'll be going over 3D camera types and some 3D mechanisms that games have used, such as Mario using a zoom feature to zoom in, or and lock Mario into place, which I'll go into detail on Wednesday. So I will see you guys then.